Hello everybody and welcome to another league of the Magic Online Society. Premodern is the format of choice and we're going to be playing a spicy little one. So I've been thinking about the fact that Gro-a-Tog is this deck that tries to, it tries to go tall, right? It is using this concept of the whole Xerox engine, right? So you want to have a bunch of cantrips and stuff, and then the creature suite is actually kind of bad. So like Melee Mage is obviously fantastic, and we're featuring this one over here. But I wondered, okay, so what if instead of having to play Creon Dryad, which is really hard to cast and stuff like that, we instead play a Slivers shell. So instead of trying to go tall, we're trying to go a little bit wider. And obviously Slivers is a very underexplored archetype in the format, I think. And what we're going to be trying to do today is, I think that something like this has been done before, but I'm helping a little bit in turning the mana base into something a little bit nicer. So you're going to see that I'm not playing any non-banned cards. So we know we have 4 Mox Diamond and we have 3 City of Brass and 1 Treva's Ruins. But I'm also playing 19 lands, so that gives us 14 islands for days and Gush purposes. And then our creature suite is actually the only cards that we cannot cast are 4 Muscle Slivers in 2 Weak Slivers. These are the only cards that need Mox Diamonds in Treva's or Treva's Ruins to be cast. So these are going to be the challenging ones. I was thinking about just playing less of them, or maybe like adding either another City of Brass over an island or something like that. We're going to be going with this deck list in particular for now, and I want to be like tinkering from there on. Yeah, the idea is to play like a little bit of a bigger creature suite, leaving out of the table, just a bunch of extra counter spells, stuff like Fire and Ice, and like Opt and whatnot. Instead, we are playing main deck removal in Swords to Plowshares, and then a bunch of Slivers. So we have 4 plated Slavers, we have 4 Muscle Slivers, which is kind of the second best sliver behind actually Crystalline Sliver, which is just kind of bonkers. Like 2 mana Shroud, giving all of your other Slivers Shroud. This card is incredible, and it's kind of like the only reason why I thought of this deck, and I think it could be playable, or at least something like this could be playable. I'm also playing 3-Winged Sliver. I was thinking about playing the 4th one, but I ended up going with a split with 2 Quick Slivers. This card may be great or may be terrible. Like, honestly, I have no idea. So this is my very first draft of the deck. So we're going to be running with this one for this league, but I could very much see myself cutting this Quick Sliver because it gives us, it is not easy to cast, while Wing Sliver we can basically always cast off of basic islands. So I'm going to be looking at stuff like, how does my mana base feel? How does my spell suite feel? Like, does a card like Quick Sliver feel worth it? How does the deck function with, 4 Portent, 4 Gush? Like, maybe I need some Sleight of Hands, maybe I need some Opts, or something like that. I'm also running 3 Counterspell, 3 Daze, 2 Foil. So there's a lot of room for tinkering. I do think that this is the engine that I want, though, like in terms of the cards that I think would make this deck playable. It's this package right here and the 4 portents. Like, these are the things that I want to base the deck around, and then from there my card choices are going to try to work within these constraints. So I could see like cutting an island for maybe the 4th City of Brass, or maybe something like what's the name of that card, Thranquery, that allows me to not take so much pain. So we'll see how the deck actually performs. I'm very interested, I'm very intrigued to see how it's gonna go. Yeah, I'm really stoked about this one. One of the very many decks that probably could never beat a Resolved Oath of Druids, but now that Parfait is not as oppressive as it used to be. We can because it doesn't exist, right? We can like mess around and play decks like this one. The sideboard I think is super interesting. So basically, the cards that I really want are the 2 Worships, because this card is straight up a lock. And I actually confirmed this with Aaron decks. Like, I asked Aaron, like, okay, so Worship doesn't prevent damage. He's like, no, it's actually a replacing effect. So if you play a Crystalline Sliver and you play a Worship, you have locked the game out against Burn. Like, they literally cannot win. There's no combination of cards that they can. I guess it would be Anarchy, but then you just basically sandbag all of your counter spells for Anarchy specifically, and nothing else matters. So seems really hard for them to win that game, particularly because you can raise them because you can fly, right? So you can raise them because you attack through in the air, and they can't, because like they attack you and you just take nothing. So this actually seems very interesting to me, and this is one of the main things that I liked as part of the sideboard package. Obviously, the same is going to be true against something like goblins. Like this is going to be a 1-2 punch, but against goblins it's going to be a lot harder because goblins tends to pack a lot more elemental blasts, and obviously they have access to naturalize and stuff like that. So maybe that package does not work as well against goblins. I'm probably going to still bring it in, but it's probably not as good there. We also have a singleton Armageddon and a singleton Winter Orb. This is something that I obviously stole from Gro-a-Tog lists. You can, play to the board, and then versus decks like, control decks or stuff like The Rock, you can just force through an Armageddon or Winter Orb and just lock the game out with your like random critters. I'm also playing Ray of Revelation, which is nice because we can cast both sides of the card. Also, we can pitch it to foil for that sick value. But it's gonna be great against like I'm probably not gonna be bringing in Disenchant against most survival decks, but I probably will bring in the one of Ray of Revelation, like it has that much value. We also have Hydroblast, a couple of copies of Annul, 3 copies of Meddling Mage. This is a card that I kind of didn't know what to play in this slot. I was considering playing maybe more Curse Totems because I'm kind of terrified of elves. I don't think I can really beat elves with this deck. I'm just gonna get raised very, very easily, I think. So having access to Curse Totem gives me a way to raise back. The same is true with something like Hibernation, but that Hibernation is kind of weird because like my best sliver to raise elves is Muscle Sliver. Like Crystal Sliver doesn't really do anything against elves. So like Muscle Sliver is actually my best sliver, and it's kind of weird that, Hibernation bounces my own sliver, so I don't know. Maybe just playing more totems is better. But Meddling Mage, on the other hand, you played on turn 2 or turn 1 with Mox, and you name Survival, or you name, Werewolf Simulator, like whatever it is, and then it just sits there as a 2-2, and your opponent literally cannot attack through, and they can't remove it in any reasonable way besides with Masticore. So it seems like a very, very strong card for that. Like it seems like the trump card that I want specifically against elves. Obviously, it's going to be great against Dreadnought. It's going to be great against stuff like Replenish. So, but this is very, very much like an experiment, and I talked to Lani, and Lani was not high on Meddling Mage, so we'll see whether Lani is right or whether I am right. But yeah, really, really stoked about this deck list. I think this looks pretty decent. I kind of, went over a little bit in depth, but I'm going to be, pointing out things, and obviously in the wrap-up, I'm going to see and discuss how I feel and how I like the deck, how it performed. That's going to be it for this. We're going to be going into round number 1 very soon, so if you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you there for round number 1 with Slivers. By the way, this deck is gas, right? G-A-S? I know, you totally saw it, right? Yeah, now you can't unsee it. Alright, first match with Slivers, and I guess this hand looks fine. So we can go turn 1 Muscle Sliver into Daze. Not bad. What are we up against? Opponent moves to 6. Turn 1 Plains. Yeah, I was already thinking about just pitching City of Brass to Mox Diamond anyway. Obviously, now that I drew Gush, that's gonna be even more so the case. Do I want to lead on Plated Sliver? I don't think so. I think that using my mana efficiently, it's going to be much more important. If my opponent does have the Source of Plowshares, I can always Daze it, unless they just pass the turn. Okay. Alright, opponent does have the Daze. Basic Forest is interesting. So next turn we're going to be able to Gush, which is nice. Secluded Step. Okay, so we're probably, I would assume that we're playing against Terragaton or something like that. Okay, so let's lead on Gush first thing. That is pretty decent. Here's a Crystalline Sliver. We do have access to Daze. We also have Foil. We have Plow if my opponent plays something like a Terravore. Our dudes can't be killed. Probably in okay shape here. Enlightened Tutor resolves. If they get something that I need to counter like an Oath, I can just fill it, so it's fine. Lightning Rift. Does that do anything? Cycle Crows and Tusker. That is something. Alright, so I guess I'm just gonna counter the mountain. counter the thing. I guess I probably have to save foil for a counter spell or something. So let's attack. I imagine Swords to Plowshares is not really gonna do anything. But I don't think the Rift matters, because they're not gonna be able to raise my Sliver army. Wall of Blossoms. That's fine, I can just Swords to Plowshares that. Oh, is my opponent playing Astral Slide? That's kind of sick. Well, I'm just gonna hardcast Daze here. That's a clean Daze there. I guess I'm not gonna plow. I can just hardcast this foil. So let's swing. Opponent's only gonna take 2 here. But if they don't play anything worth foiling, I can just Swords to Plowshares the Wall of Blossoms. But obviously I'm saving this foil to like counter some sort of Wrath of God effect. Karmic Guide. Alright. So now that I see Karmic Guide, I think my opponent probably doesn't have any sort of Wrath effect. Flying Sliver would be great. Obviously Gush is my best draw. Having drawn a Sekor Swords to Plowshares mean that I probably can just plow there and serve. I'm not gonna play the island. I may draw another foil or something like that. Maybe a good Hasty on the Lightning Rift. Like the Daze it just felt too good to pass up. But maybe I just got Hasty there. I mean, I have to assume that my opponent's playing Astral Slide. If they do have a Wrath effect, obviously I'm gonna get destroyed here. Oromancer, that's fine. So they do get back the Rift, which doesn't really do anything here. I didn't plow there because I just don't need to. So I just drew Wing Sliver now, and I have only a 3-turn clock, but still not terrible. So I can save Swords to Plowshares for, I don't know. If they have another Karmic Guide, that's gonna be a big problem, because like Karmic Guide's gonna get back the other Karmic Guide. That's kind of annoying. I love that the Wing Sliver also checks the Oromancer, so I can't even get raised. That's pretty funny. I mean, Crystalline Sliver, this is why this deck is remotely close to playable, right? So playing another Crystalline doesn't really speed my clock, I don't think. So it's free for me to, like, I can just hold it. Opponent on a 1. So the only reason to play it is so I don't take 2 from the Oromancer, and that just not seem worth it. Like, my opponent could have something like a Chroma's Vengeance, and if they do, then I'd much rather have access to, like, Mox Diamond or something. They can cycle Decree, but, like, just doesn't do anything. Like, they get 2 1/1s that can't even block my dudes. They can shock me if they want, but whatever. Would have been great to draw, like, a Portent or Gush or something like that. Something to actually just propel a little bit forward, you know? I feel like I was really good at the beginning. Like, I was really pushing forward in the early game, and then I kind of got stuck. It may be enough. Opponent did not shock me there. Okay, so they are playing Wrath, so I feel very smart for holding on to the Sliver. And again, it was just kind of free to do, right? Like, I'm in a situation where not that many cards beat me. The question now is, do I play the second one now that I drew exactly Crystalline Sliver number 2? Because the problem is, if I don't, and my opponent plays a creature, then I'm not going to be able to attack through for lethal. So do I want to play around Wrath number 2? My opponent drew a card from Decree, and that's it. So it was like between their draw step and the Decree, they found the Wrath. Yeah, I'm going to play the second Crystalline as well. Reason being, you know, sure, my opponent can have another Wrath, and that's going to be terrible. But the problem is, like, if they have even something as stupid as an Oromancer, I just can't win, right? They tutor. Tutor for what? Astral Slide? Okay. So did they already have the Wrath? Cartographer? Sure. I'm feeling very smart right about now, I guess. That Enlightening Tutor was not very good. Like, my opponent basically prevented themselves from finding another Wrath. So now I just Swords to Plowshares the Cartographer and just swing with both of my dudes. Let's see what they got. So, swing for 4? Alright, cool. Got there. Awesome. So, we definitely want Ray of Revelation. This one seems pretty good. Probably want the Annuls. We may even want Hydroblast, honestly. My opponent is playing Wrath. Oh, we definitely want Winter Orb. Oh, yes. We definitely want Winter Orb. We probably want Armageddon. So these are the cards I'm interested in. Swords to Plowshare seems pretty medium, so I'm going to cut at least a couple. Maybe I should be cutting all of them. Counter Magic seems okay. Not super great, but also not super terrible. I don't like Meddling Mage. My opponent has like too many differently named cards that matter, so this is definitely not a Meddling Mage matchup. That's a very interesting version of Rifter that my opponent's rocking over there. Is Daze bad? I'm on the draw, so I guess I'm gonna cut a copy, but I don't know. Daze seems kind of medium. Plated Slivers seems important because of specifically Slice and Dice. I guess I can just maybe cut a quick Sliver. Just another Daze, just have the Meister's Daze, I guess. This is a fun hand. I think I keep it. Okay, yeah, cool. I'm gonna keep it. The question now, do I want to Mox on one? Because I'm gonna be Portentin on turn 1. Obviously, if I draw an island, this hand is just incredible, right? But I gotta assume that I'm not gonna draw the nuts. And if that's the case, how do I want to approach this? I think I'd rather play the City of Brass, and I'm gonna be taking some damage here, but like that's fine. Yeah, definitely shuffle that. Any order, shuffle. And pass the turn. So now because the thing is, if I find 2 lands off of the portent and I go land, then I get to, on turn 3, just play, you know, like Winter or plus something, right? Seems pretty strong. Alright, gonna portent myself again, looking for a land, and we whiff again. So we're gonna put in any order and shuffle, and try again. So this looks like a game where I'm just gonna get hosed by my mana. Big yikes. Man, I don't like this Nantuko Monastery at all. Oh, this is hilarious, dude. Like, I just keep drawing portents. That's awesome. I'm gonna keep this one. I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna go top, no shuffle. And I'm gonna pass the turn. So there's an island on top of the deck. We're gonna discard. Winter is my best card here, right? So I think I discard Source to Plowshares? I think I discard Plated Sliver. So I know I'm drawing the island, so now I can just go Mox Diamond, pitch Island next turn. Wasteland is devastating. Well, punished for not playing this. Dude, this is hilarious. I just realized that I just got a message on by Luis. Luis Salvato. This is awesome. Just Luis casually just like joining a Premodern match. That's awesome. Okay, so what do we do now? We only have 1 mana. This is obviously terrible, so I'm just gonna play this Mox Diamond now. Pitching the island, and I'm just gonna play this Plated Sliver and be very sad. So we don't know what the top card of the deck is, so if we do find something good, we may be in good shape here. We're also setting up, oh no, we do know what the top is. It's an Armageddon, so I guess we do have a plan. We're gonna slow down with Winter Orb and maybe just like close the game out with Armageddon. So that is the game plan. I'm probably too far behind. I probably need to draw a land every single turn for the remainder of the game if I'm going to pull that off. So that does not seem great. If my opponent taps out main phase, that's good for me. But yeah, obviously this game, I just, you know, got destroyed by my mana, right? Like if the first portent had found a land, I think we're probably in like very, very good shape. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna concede to the Seal of Cleansing. I think I've seen enough. My opponent's mana base is greedy. They have Nantuko Monastery and they have Wasteland in a 3-color deck. Jeez. Also, it seems like Dust Bowl would be much better than Wasteland in my opponent's deck. So now I'm on the play, so I like Daze a lot better. Maybe over a Counterspell. And I have Annuls. I think I'm just cutting Source to Plowshares straight up. Bring in Counterspell. Bring in Quicksliver? Or Disenchant? I actually don't like Disenchant in the face of Auramancer. I think I'm gonna go with Daze number 3. No lander. Ship it. Okay. Still a mulligan. Okay, now this hand is good. So we can keep this one. So we're gonna keep this. We're gonna bottom City of Brass and Flooded Strand. Flooded Strand allows me to shuffle though, so I kind of want to hold on to the Flooded Strand. Maybe just bottom the Travis Ruins. This means I get to fetch a Plains though. But then I don't have green mana, but then I'm better against Wasteland, which I saw from my opponent's deck. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna bottom the Travis Ruins. And now we're gonna go Portent myself, turn 1. We're on a mull to 5 here, which is not great. What I see over here seems not good enough, so I'm just gonna shuffle it away. We can come back. We need Gush. We need the card Gush. Winter Orb can do some pretty good job in helping us come back though. Travis Ruins. Alright. So floated blue. Oh no, actually I can't do that. Do I just fetch a Plains here? It's so bad if I draw Gush though. But I want to be able to daze whatever. So what can get me turn 2? I don't think there's anything that can really get me. So I'm just going to go for Travis Ruins here and bounce that. So I'm not gonna have daze up this turn, so my opponent gets to resolve a 2-drop. But then I'm gonna be good from here on. Yeah, this is pretty good. So play an island. Here's a Sliver attack. I'm not gonna play Winter Orb right now, I don't think, because I want, if my opponent finds a Wasteland, I kind of want them to Wasteland my Travis Ruins. So let's see. Oof, that's brutal. Okay, so play Flooded Strand. Swing for another 2. I am going to play Winter Orb now, though. So if my opponent wants to Crossing Verge, they don't get me good. Maybe I should have played the island the turn before. Reason being, if I draw Armageddon, I can just get on my opponent. They don't activate Crossing Verge, so I guess they have something to do with their mana. Alright, the little sliver that could. So now I really would want to see that muscle sliver that we that we had earlier. Untap Travis Ruins. Oh my god, dude, this is insane. Alright, play that island. So now if I draw Armageddon, I'm feeling kind of okay. I really would like one of my card advantage and spells, or just like any clock whatsoever. Opponent has 7 cards in hand. Doesn't bode well for the good guys. I'm not fetching because I may fight Portent, by the way, right? So if I don't just step out for no reason, then Astral Slide, that's fine. I cannot target my Sliver anyway. We untap Gush. Alright, so now we're talking. I'm gonna do this main phase, and that's why. So this is awesome. So Portent myself, we have foil, Muscle Sliver, Winning Sliver. Oh my god, this is incredible. Do we just win now? Do we just straight up win? Alright, so we look at the cards. We definitely want, I think I want Muscle Sliver. So I want to draw the foil first. So I can go Wing Slither, Muscle Sliver, foil, no shuffle. So now all of a sudden my hand went from embarrassing to unbeatable. Literally unbeatable. I don't think there's any combination in the entire Premodern format that can allow my opponent to win this game. I would like to draw my foil, please. Thank you very much. Mull to 5. And like just one Gush and the entire game just flip on its head. Oh my god. That's incredible. So we're going to be swinging for 7 next turn, and then on the following turn we're going to play like a flyer, and just, even if my opponent has blockers, it just doesn't matter. Cartographer? Do we just daze this for the troll value? So if I daze this, what happens? My opponent pays. Next turn I play another Muscle Sliver, they take 7. Like, I actively want them to cycle. Yeah, I think this resolves. I think it's good for me if my opponent cycles here. Like, Winter Orb is the MVP here, obviously, right? So now we untap the Ruins, play a land. Here's another Muscle Sliver. And our hand is literally like foil, island, plains, daze. Good luck. Dude, I can't believe this. How insane is this? They cycle, they blink the Cartographer, sure. Great value. They're gonna get to draw a card. They take 3 down to 8. And then they untap 1 land. Whatever they play, I can daze or foil. And then I'm flying over their stuff. So Cartographer just got its block in. Yeah, I mean, this is the reason to build a deck like this, right? This is exactly why I built the deck like this, is because Gush is kind of insane. Wow, that was... Woof! I'm gonna have to get over this match right here, because that was kind of incredible. Alright, GG's, I guess. That was awesome. Alright, second match with Gro-a-Sliver, or Gas, however you want to call it. Interesting hand. I think we keep it. But it's honestly, it's kind of unclear whether I'm supposed to play this plated sliver on one. Like, if my opponent plays a Goblin Lackey or something, I'm obviously going to do that, but okay, Wild Growth. So that can be most likely something like Enchantress. I guess that regardless of what this is, I think I'm just gonna go for the fetch land. Because this could also be like the new Terravore deck that is all the rage. And if it is that Terravore deck, if they have like turn 2 Thermokarst and they blow up my planes, I don't care too much about that. Alright, 1-1 Terravore. Ugh, super punished. Alright, it is what it is. The awkward thing here is I think I attack because if I foil anything, like if my opponent has Thermokarst, they blow up my land, and if I foil anything, then the foil also grows the Terravore, so I'm not gonna be able to block. Yep, there you go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna foil that. So foil, pitching, island, City Brass. So now the Terravore is a 3/3, which really sucks. So super punished by playing out the City of Brass, right? If I had played City of Brass on turn 1, we just counterspell there, and we're actually in really good shape. Also, now I'm punished because I discarded the City and I immediately drew the Muscle Sliver. So everything is just working out in the worst possible way to punish me for my decisions. I still think that my decision there on turn 1 was good, but clearly did not work out. Here, I think I'm willing to mulch there, because that's going to be growing the Terravore pretty significantly. And I kind of want to slow down this. So, let's go. Do I Gush, or I can just play a Muscle Sliver? Yeah, I think I have to Gush here. So let's Gush. Source of Plowshares is a pretty good draw. So let's play Travis Ruins, bounce, plains, tap for green, play Muscle Sliver, plow the Terravore. And now if my opponent does have Oath, we're gonna be in really bad shape, but that's kind of how it goes. We can raise this tree top, most likely. Second Terravore is rough, so now we're gonna need to draw something. Another Muscle Sliver would be great. Quick Sliver. Huh, okay. So we're gonna pass the turn. Oof, Thermokarst kind of sucks here. So let's play the Quick Sliver, and I guess we're gonna get our land destroyed there. Oof. Oh my god, that's devastating. I think my opponent should have attacked there. So we're gonna play Island and shift the turn back. Because like at that point my opponent is just trading. Maybe they have more removal, and if that's the case, then it's better to not do anything there. Oh yeah, okay, so they do have more land destruction. So now they actually do have a good attack. Yeah, my opponent should definitely be attacking there. Okay, gonna send the turn back. This is not looking good. This is not looking good at all. We've been dodging Oath, which is good for us, but yeah. So I have to draw Source to Plowshares at this point. I think it's the only card that really matters. Source to Plowshares? Nope. So if I play Crystalline, now I can actually block, and my opponent may not attack. Like, they have not attacked in previous turns. So that's an 8/8 now. So I guess I just throw everything in front of the Terravore. I don't really have any other options. I have to trade. Think my opponent's gonna kill... I guess they get to kill everything. Yeah, they get to kill everything, so I'm gonna concede, just move on to the next game. Okay, so... Worship seems pretty good. Winter Orb also seems decent. I think I want Ray because of Oath. Not a big fan of Foil. Maybe I need to just keep the one. No, I actually don't think Foil is too great. Maybe a Null is just something that I need to have. I guess Disenchant's just better. Don't think I care for Quick Sliver, so we can cut those. And Daze seems okay. Curse Totem doesn't do anything. Meddling Mage is not great either. Is Armageddon just fine? I guess that Winter Orb is just better than Armageddon. I do want Swords to Plowshares. My cantrips are good. So I'm just going to cut... actually, I'm going to cut a counter spell since I'm bringing in Winter Orb. Usually I like to make sure I have... Stasis is just so good with Winter Orb, right? Got the combo, but we don't have land, so... this hand's good, though. So we're going to keep this one. Bottom Gush. And now we get to go turn 1 Mox Diamond. Pitch City. Play an island. And I think we lead on Crystalline. Okay, so my opponent plays an ETB tap land, which is decent for me. Another island is great, so we're not going to shuffle these. We want all of these, so we're going to go... I guess we just want to top all of these. So we're going to go Portent first, then Crystalline, then Island. No shuffle. And swing. So next turn what we can do is we can actually play everything. So we can play land, Gush, then play Mox Diamond. Oath of Druids. Yeah, that's pretty bad for us. So let's do this. Let's Gush here. We need to find an answer. So Portent, myself. We do find the Winter Orb. We're not going to be able to have these days available here. I do want to draw the Portent though. I mean, we're probably just going to lose to the Oath though. Yeah, I think I'm just dead here. But even drawing an answer, like this is going to trigger an upkeep. So I'm just going to lose to the Terravore. So I need to find Swords to Plowshares here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the Portent and the Winter Orb, because I think I'm going to need Winter Orb in order to win. So let's go, okay, we're going to go top, 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 say no. How do I beat this Oath? I need to Portent into answer to Oath plus answer to a Terravore. Seems really hard to do. Yeah, maybe I was supposed to just not let that resolve. So let's play Mox Diamond, play that, and I mean I probably have to raise, right? No, I'm just gonna leave up Counterspell. So let's swing. Oath is gonna trigger. We hope that the Terravore is not super big, because we are gonna need this Winter Orb to do something. So Terravore is a 2-turn clock, so Terravore is actually super big. So that sucks. So my goal there was for the Terravore to be something like a, I don't know, like a 4/4 or something, you know? And then that's gonna give me enough time so that I can actually race back. But obviously this right here is gonna be really tough to work through. So next turn my opponent's gonna get to swing for how much? Not lethal at least. So I guess I can leave the Crystalline back to block just so I trigger Oath. Is that good? So that's a Muscle Sliver, but that doesn't answer my problems though. So I think we're just going to lose the game now. So if I block with Crystalline, then I get to trigger Oath. Okay, so I shuffle, but I still found the days. I can also like not put a creature into play. Okay, so I think that's the line. So I'm going to block with Sliver, go to take 11 down to 6, and I'm going to hope that I draw specifically Swords to Plowshares. So I'm not going to trigger Oath. I'm going to say no. And I need to draw... Okay, Disenchant. Yeah, that doesn't do it. Yeah, I just died to the Terravore. Alright. Yeah, I think this deck is very, very strong, by the way. I think that this deck is very, very good. Like, it's one of the better version of the Terravore deck, and one of the cool decks that are enabled now that land tax is banned, because like I imagine this deck really struggled against land tax. That's very cool though. This is an awesome new archetype that's starting to see a lot of play, which is cool. All right, see you next round. All right, this is round number 3. We're playing against Will, and this hand looks pretty good. Let's keep it. The fact that I have Daze means that I feel fairly comfortable portenting here. Okay, so we can do this now. I think I want to keep here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go, okay, we're gonna go Island on top, then Flooded Strand, then Counterspell. We're not gonna shuffle, and then we're just gonna pass the turn back. So what this means is we're gonna get to play a fetch land, and we're gonna draw another fetch land. So that's gonna shuffle the basic island that we have on top that we obviously don't want. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna leave me with access to blue and also to a white source. So just gotta make sure that I'm not an idiot and fetch and forget to fetch. So there we go. Put an island into play, untap. Damn it. Okay. That's a really bad draw. that's a very, very bad draw. So I guess I'm gonna play Flooded Strand now and just send the turn back again. This is the issue with Quick Sliver. It's not trivial to cast. And now that I think about it, maybe I should have actually played out the Plains that last turn because I may find Mox Diamond. Okay, so let's go play Island, play Travis Ruins, and I'm gonna bounce the island here. I think I'm just gonna main phase this Quick Sliver, even though it's kind of awkward, but it allows me to use my mana, and now I'm holding up both Counterspell, Foil, and Daze. So kind of an awkward turn, but I think that it's just the right line. At this point, I'm assuming that Will is on Stasis. Portent is pretty decent right here. So Portent myself. There's a Muscle Sliver on a Gush, so we're obviously going to be keeping this. So we're going to say, okay, we're going to put City of Brass on top, then Muscle Sliver, ding. Oh, no, this was bad. Oh, no, I guess it's fine. So we can just say no here. Play my island, we're going to swing for 1. And then I guess on my end step, I'm going to Gush into Muscle Sliver. Oh no, because I don't want to draw. Yeah, I messed this up. I should have actually put the Muscle Sliver on top so I can cast it on end step. Because I don't want to Gush into that City of Brass. Like, I actually want to shuffle the City of Brass away. So this is kind of awkward right now, but you know, I just have to let that go. We're gonna swing here, and then I'm just gonna pass the turn. This allows me to hold up Counterspell. And we can also deploy a Muscle Sliver on end step if we want to. So we missed out on 3 points of damage, which could very, very well matter. So here's a Muscle Sliver on end step. I imagine if he has a Counterspell, he's going to use it here. Oh, lets it go. Okay. Oh, I forgot to shuffle. Whoops. That's not the end of the world, I guess, but it's less than ideal. All right, so here... So I think that misclick kind of threw me off. I need to refocus a little bit. I need to dial a little bit back in. All right, so untap. Mox Diamond. No, I guess it's okay. It's just not necessary right now. So we're gonna do that. Will is just buying as much time as he can so that he can do a bunch of things in the same turn whenever that turn finally comes. Claws of Gix is fine. I'm not gonna fight over that. I could Gush, hoping to find another Sliver, but I just don't think I have to. So, swing for 4. I'm probably going to Gush on my opponent's end step now, because I can potentially put my opponent in a situation where I have, like, Surprise 6 power. Like, any Sliver is just Surprise 6 power, which is going to force him to, like, do some things that he probably doesn't really want to do quite yet. Honestly, it's kind of unlucky for me that he was able to hit literally every single... He was able to hit every single land drop without casting a single cantrip, which is pretty impressive. The 3 damage that I missed obviously being extremely relevant here, right? So he thwarts my counterspell, to which I say fetch, throw an island, and I'll Gush, returning 2 islands. Sword gonna resolve. I think I probably have to counter here. It's extremely unlucky that I can win this counter war. Foil pitching 2 of the 3 islands. So now he has only 1 more island in hand. So I think I'm going to foil the foil, pitching Mox Diamond and 1 of my islands. We still have access to Daze, but I don't want to play into my opponent's Stasis. So he dazes there, and I'm just going to daze the foil. So by dazing here, I effectively counter the Stasis, because he's not going to be able to pay the upkeep. I know he has 1 island. The question now is, do I want to play this Wing Sliver into Daze? Because it would allow me to just swing for lethal. So that everything resolves. And now I'm going to... I think I just jam this Wing Sliver into Daze. And if he has it, he has it. Cool! Now, we get to cut these ugly Swords to Plowshares. We get to bring in Annuls. We get to bring in Meddling Mage. We get to bring in probably Disenchant. And I think that's about it. I don't think Armageddon does anything. Shout out to Quick Sliver. Like, that was so good. I think I'm gonna cut 2 plated slivers and what? I guess. Oh, actually, Wing Sliver is worse than Plated Sliver because it's just 1 mana more, and they have exactly the same text, which is do nothing. That was fun though. That was a pretty fun game 1 that we just had. Sure. I think we keep this. We have a disenchant to fight over stuff. We actually have a very anemic clock, but you know, something to put into play. Will moves to 6. Well, that's much better. That's a significantly better draw. Can I find a City of Brass off the top? City of Brass so that I can cast this Quick Sliver. So unlucky. I think I'm just gonna tap out here for this Wing Sliver. I think it's fine. If my opponent daces this, I don't really care. This is just a 2 mana 1/1. So land pass, pretty good draw. Move to combat, swinging for 1. I'm gonna play this Flooded Strand, and then, I mean, obviously Will is gonna have to fight over this Meddling Mage. The question is whether I want to name Stasis or Chain of Vapor. He counterspells. I think I'm gonna fight over this. So I'm gonna foil, counterspell, and I'm gonna pitch the Quick Sliver. Because like this is just so good, right? Like right here. I'm just gonna name Chain of Vapor. And the reason for naming Chain of Vapor is because I already have an Annul and a Disenchant in hand. So by naming Chain of Vapor, I'm making it much harder for my opponent to remove the Meddling Mage itself. Not gonna fetch quite yet because I don't have to. Definitely gonna hit my land drop though. But now if I draw Portent, I'm gonna be in better shape. Getting there for 3. Send the turn back. Will did miss a land draw, by the way, last turn. Pretty good draw. I think I just main phase it, because I may find another Meddling Mage, and I can still do some good stuff here. We don't go to discard either. Quick Sliver, not great. This is one of the things that I was saying in the intro of the video, right? Which is mana short. Okay, so he's gonna spend this turn to resolve Stasis, which then we're just gonna have to disenchant. Play land, pass the turn. We're not in good shape here. Maybe I should have just named Stasis. Like, I was not playing around mana short. Like, if I knew, I guess no, but then my opponent's gonna be forced to like Chain of Vapor in the Meddling Mage, and then I can just hardcast the Meddling Mage later in the game. So it was probably better for me to name Stasis. I kind of got a little bit cocky with the oh, I also have 6th into that Black Vice, which is pretty bad. Should have not done that. Because now he's got a win condition. Whoops. Double Chain of Vapor was exiled. That's hilarious. Means land drop is good. Can I find a City of Brass? This can only fetch islands, so that sucks. I mean, if I find a City of Brass, I'm kind of in fine shape. Thwart is the only thing that gets me. But if he thwarts, then he can't daze. So if I find a City of Brass, I'm kind of in okay shape. I guess best case scenario would actually be Trevor's Ruins. Like, Trevor's Ruins is my best draw here. Like, Trevor's Ruins would be insane. I think, honestly, if I draw Trevor's Ruins, I think I may just win the game, honestly. So we keep on passing the turn. Now we're taking 2 from the Black Vice. Really? I mean, honestly, yeah, I kind of like my spot if I do find the Trevor's Ruins. Because I wait for my opponent to pay for the Forsaken City upkeep, and then still on his upkeep, I just attempt to disenchant Stasis, and then I counter back. So Trevor's Ruin or City of Brass is probably game winning for me. Not that one. So at this point, discarding Muscle Sliver. At this point, I have exactly 1 more draw to find either City of Brass or Trevor's Ruins. If I do, I am pretty likely to win the game, but if I don't, I just ran out of time. City of Brass, Trevor's Ruins? No. I guess I technically have 1 more turn. Pitching Quick Sliver. Man, this game was closer than it seemed. Because if I empty my hand enough, this may be okay. How quickly can I empty my hand? I would be casting Disenchant, Counterspell. I think I'm going to 5 cards, which should technically be enough. Oh no, because I at this point I need to draw only Trevor's Ruins. Yeah. So I guess if I don't fetch, I can draw either City or Trevis Ruins, and I found nothing. Okay. Game number 3, and I think that this is fine as is. Oh, Ray of Revelation is in my deck. I'm an idiot. Yeah, that was so bad. Why did I just glance over a Ray of Revelation? Yeah, that was really bad. Ray of Revelation should be in my deck. It's kind of insane. Gonna be on the play for game number 3. This hand is quite good. Let's keep it. So we're gonna go Flooded Strand, turn 1, turn 2, just play a 2/2. And like get my clock on and start beating down. We have Gush. We have Foil. Black Vice, turn 1. That's fine. It's good against Gush, but here I think it's more important for me to get my clock on than to answer my opponent's Black Vice. I just want to have something on the board. If he daces this, okay, like this is kind of fine. So now I'm going to be able to just pretty safely disenchant this Black Vice. And I'm going to do it through Daze, I think. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to let that go. The aggro Black Vice, so I'm taking 2 here, which seems fine if it allows me to play around Daze. So upkeep, gonna disenchant one of these Vices. I'm doing it on upkeep so my opponent doesn't have counterspell mana, right? Forsaken City. So here we take nothing. We're gonna Gush, which is kind of awkward in the face of the Black Vice, but I need to like hit some land drops and stuff. Rare Revelation does not help me get rid of Black Vice. That sucks. That really sucks, actually. That super sucks. Impulse. Do I just foil this? My opponent missed a land drop? No, never mind, they didn't. Do I just foil this just to get under the Black Vice? I think so. I'm gonna pitch the Rare Revelation. Obviously, it's a heinous exchange, but because my hand is so Gush heavy, I really need to buy some time. So I need to counter something. It doesn't really matter what it is. Maybe that's a little bit too aggressive, but I don't know, it seems right to me. Alright, Portent myself. Let's see what's on top of the deck. Meddling Mage, Mox Diamond, Trevis Ruins. I think all of these are good. So I'm gonna say okay. I'm gonna go top, no shuffle, play my island, say go. I kind of like the fact that Mox Diamond allows me to discard cards in the face of this Black Vice and my Gushes. So let's lead on Gush, then play my island, then play Mox Diamond, pitch in Trevis Ruins, and now we're just gonna Meddling Mage. Maybe I should have Portent first, because that's gonna inform what I want to name with this Meddling Mage. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna name Stasis this time around. If it resolves, obviously. Dace. I'm gonna pay. So I guess he's just foiling here. Which is good when he has missed a land drop, right? Foil, pitching, island, foil. So down to 2 cards in hand. And I'm gonna Portent here because it's pretty unlikely that my opponent has another Dace. These are not good enough, I don't think. So I'm just going to put them back in the order and just shuffle. Send the turn back. So we can still annul a Stasis if we need to. We also have Gush. Oh, Brain Freeze? Does that do anything? I mean, as long as he doesn't just casually mill all my win conditions, I don't think that really does anything. Yep, there we go. So no Meddling Mages were drawn. Were milled, I guess. We still have 20 turns. That's a muscle sliver. That's a win condition. So he's down to 1 card and down to 1 mana. So I feel extremely ahead now. And this is kind of the problem with the Brain Freeze. Like, that Brain Freeze was effectively a dead card, right? Because, like, my opponent has this Black Vice going, so, you know, they are kind of suggesting your life total matters. But then they had a card, they actually used a card that was not a cantrip or anything like that could have allowed my opponent to, like, find their cards. And they used that on a card that did literally nothing. And I think I win the game now? I think I straight up win the game now. So we Gush. He doesn't have mana, he doesn't have islands. And I don't think there's too much of anything that he can really realistically have. So play an island, play a Meddling Mage. So let that go. Name Chain of Vapor. And take 1, play another Meddling Mage. We're gonna name Stasis. And I think that wins the game. So now we have my opponent on a 3-turn clock We still have foil, we still have a null, and they have, yeah, they have no outs. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the weird thing about Brain Freeze, right? Like, it just forces you to care on an angle, like on an axis that you otherwise don't need to care, but it's a dead card, right? It's an actual dead card. So yeah, it can be a little bit of a double-edged sword. Which is cool, right? Like, that's why Premodern is such a cool format, because it has so many dynamics going on. And yeah, that was cool. That was a pretty great match. See you for the next round. Round number 4 with Slivers. Okay. I think we keep this. Like, obviously we need to find a second land. But we do have Portent into Days, which is kind of one of our best openers. So also, if we find ideally a City of Brass or a Travis Ruins, we're going to be in really, really good shape. Yeah, obviously we're going to sheep this, shuffle, and pass the turn back. We may never find a land, and that's obviously going to be really bad for us, but alright, we got a bunch of creatures. Black Vice. It's kind of awkward, but I think I actually care about this, unfortunately. Because I don't know if I'm going to be hitting my land drops, and I may just die to this. Obviously, if I find a land, then the Black Vice is not going to be particularly good, and I would be a lot happier if I had kept my land. But I would assume that we're playing against Stasis here. Opponent plays an island and passes it back. City of Brass is a fantastic draw. Let's play my Crystalline Sliver. And the reason to play Crystalline, of course, is so I can play around Chain of Vapor. So there's my clock. Clock assembled. Forsaken City. Well, getting paired against Ivory Tower. Okay, that's pretty funny. You don't see Ivory Tower very often. Well, now that I have Crystalline Sliver in play, my fastest clock is to just deploy a couple of Muscle Slivers here. So this is going to raise the Ivory Tower fairly well. Obviously, I need to find something here, right? Like, I need to find more lands, I need to find a Gush. There's the Gush. So that means that my opponent's going to be drawing some cards now. They can also just literally play a Stasis right now. Second Ivory Tower? Wow. Alright, it's going to be a little bit harder to raise. Not impossible, though. Not impossible. I'm going to hold on to that one because I can pitch it to foil. I mean, this is an attack for 7 here. It's no joke. Opponent gets to gain 6, but then next turn we swing in for 10. Play the island that we knew about. Ivory Tower is an interesting card in Stasis. Another island means I'm happy to just play another one so I can attempt to play around Days now. So here's a plated Sliver. So my opponent's going to gain 6 up to 13, and then this is a lethal attack. So we don't need to play anything here. I really wish we had, you know, something else, right? Like we had another layer of protection, be it, I don't know, be it like a counter spell or even a Daze would go a long way, potentially. I mean, we only have this foil, but it is what it is. What are you gonna do? Gush. Okay. Stasis. So I'm gonna foil that. Pitching another Crystalline Sliver because it doesn't do anything. Arcane Denial. Oof. Okay. Yep. We're probably dead here. Is there anything I can draw? Is there anything I can draw here? Nope. So my opponent's going to have 8 cards. They're going to gain 4. Like, I just cannot raise them back unless I deal with the Stasis. I don't have Wasteland. So I literally just cannot raise them back. So I'm just going to concede here. Like, this game is going to go on for a while, but I just don't think there's any need to play that out. So I like Meddling Mages. I like Annuls. And I like Disenchants. We can cut the plated... Oh, the Wing Slivers. These can go. The Swords to Plowshares. And one more card to cut. I think one of these Quick Slivers. Actually, Quick Sliver seems kind of decent. To be able to play on my opponent's end step seems pretty good. So I think I'm just going to cut the Crystalline Sliver, which is kind of a weird thing to say there, but like... I'm just going to cut the 1/1. It's cheaper to deploy, which can be quite valuable, but just the effect of Crystalline Sliver blanking their like down spells seems kind of important. Kind of weird how we got paired into back-to-back Stasis gamers. Keep this. I think I'm going to Island Portent. Foil Island. I think I want the island, but I'm not. Probably I want the foil, but I don't want the second island. So I think I'm gonna just keep these. Say no, and I'm gonna play out Oh no, I actually can't play out the Mox because I need to draw the island. Because I need to use the island, the Floodstone to shuffle, so I don't draw the second island. So I guess I should have drawn actually the island, not the foil. Not that it really matters though. So here we go. Pass the turn back. I don't think I want to expose the Mox Diamond. There's just no need for me to do that. Gonna shuffle here on end step. Find another island. Untap. Second Mox is brutal. I'm gonna play one of these. Pitch foil. Pass the turn. Pitch the island, sorry. As usual, my best draw here is Gush. Ivory Tower. That's gonna buy my opponent so many turns. I think I let it go though. I think these annuls and counterspells are too valuable here. I can eventually find a disenchant, hopefully. I really need a clock on the board though. I really need a clock. This Ivory Tower is doing so much work. Ugh. Super punished for not using the annul. Super punished. Now my opponent has infinite mana. I mean, that's a 1-1. Gotta start racing that Ivory Tower. And this game is not going. It's not going as expected. Okay, there we go. So now we can Gush. We can potentially draw something here, or not. We can also just not draw anything. That's also fine. We do at least get to deploy our Mox here, which is not the worst. Man, where are my creatures? I have 16 of them. Where are my creatures? Ray of Revelation, gonna be discarded there. The good thing is like we have like a decent, we're gonna be putting up a decent fight over Stasis. The thing is like Stasis kind of doesn't matter that much. I'm probably gonna, does this matter? Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah, so let's annul here. Counterspell. Sure, I will annul again. I mean, this is good because it gets my opponent below the Ivory Tower. So I can start to actually do some damage. Really? Okay. Yeah. Gonna let that resolve. So we're gonna be taking 1 damage now. We're gonna start taking 1 damage, but yeah, exactly. So now I can just draw this. White, blue. Oh, maybe I should have played Trevis Ruins there. I was kind of thinking that I wanted to like get me below Black Vice, but now I don't have foil. I mean, I'm gonna have foil available next turn, but I'm not gonna have it available this turn. Thwart. Think I counter? So my opponent's gonna have 3 islands. Yeah, I think I counter back. They can have Daze here, which is kind of brutal, but I guess Daze was gonna get me regardless. So 4 spike. Gross. Alright, swing for 1. So we traded some resources. Kind of surprised that they would fight so hard over the Crystalline Sliver. Like, it seems more relevant to fight over the green one. Just holding lands. Okay, it's a decent draw. I think we Gush here. Meddling Mage would be sick. Here's a Muscle Sliver. This speeds up my clock, which is nice. And now we're gonna say okay, swing for 2. So now I can start to actually make some progress here, which is nice. I still have the Ray of Revelation in the graveyard, which is nice. Second Ivory Tower is really annoying. I think because my opponent has infinity cards in hand, I'm going to fight over this. This also gets me below Black Vice, which is nice. So now I can start clocking. And this is why it surprised me that my opponent would like fight over the Crystalline Sliver. Like, it seems so much better to fight over the muscle one, right? Because it really has the potential to make my clock that much faster. So now I can hardcast this foil, playing into 4 spikes / Daze, but that's how it goes. Huh, my opponent's really leaning on this Ivory Tower here. Meddling Mage is a good draw. So let's just swing, and I'm just gonna play Meddling Mage here. Probably name Stasis. I can also name Chema Vapor. I'm gonna name Stasis though. Do I want to discard sack an island to bounce one of these? I don't think so. So my opponent kind of needs to resolve Stasis now. Otherwise I just play the Meddling Mage again. And sure. So Stasis resolves. And now I can play Meddling Mage. I can name Counterspell or something like that. That's very interesting. 4 spike gets me really bad though. So I think I want to have one more card to fight with. So my best draw here would be Gush. Like if I Gush, I think I'm pretty likely to win the game. Okay. I wonder if I should have... So I think on upkeep I'm gonna Ray of Revelation now. Oh, they can have Thwart though. So I think I want to play around Thwart. My opponent not paying for the Forsaken City is interesting. It really makes me think that they have Thwart in hand. So Daze, Gush, those would be my best draws here. Or another basic island would also work. Daze is great. Okay, so we're gonna play Meddling Mage, and I'm going to name Thwart. And then on my opponent's upkeep, I'm going to have them, you know, pay for Forsaken City or Stasis or whatever. And then with that trigger on the stack, I'm going to Ray of Revelation. So there's the Stasis Bay, and now I'm going to Ray of Revelation the Stasis. Thwart can't be cast, and that resolved. Alright, so opponent's got 6 cards in hand. They have a bunch of lands. Another Stasis, which we can Daze. Perfect. Now we take nothing from Black Vice. Gush would be great. Portent. So I definitely want to play one of these muscle slivers, I think. I can also just play both and leave up foil, but then I just get hosed by Daze and stuff. How much damage is it though? It would be 2 more damage this turn. So that would be 8, 10 this turn, opponent down to 16. Then next turn that would be lethal. Yeah, I guess having my opponent on a 1-turn clock is probably worth it here. So I'm opening myself up to Daze by doing this, but the upside of just having my opponent on a 1-turn clock as opposed to a 2-turn clock, I think it's a pretty significant difference. Because now they're going to gain no life from the Ivory Tower, and I'm just going to swing back for Xaxis. Actually, it's not Xaxis, it's like over lethal, but still. Still a lethal attack. Also, they do need to have the 3rd Stasis, right? Alright, perfect. So we do get to untap, which probably means that we got this locked up. Yeah, Counterspell is a good draw. So now I have 2 layers of protection. They boomerang one of these. I'm gonna fight over this. Definitely gonna fight over this. Another Chain of Vapor. So I'm assuming my opponent has Thwart in hand because of how they played a couple of turns ago, but they can't cast it because of the Meddling Mage. So this would be a swing for 11 if I let this resolve. Yeah, I think it's better for me to just fight over this and threaten to win the game. Perfect. All right, awesome. On to game 3. So that looked pretty good. Is there anything that I want to change? Is Armageddon secretly good in this matchup? Like, is that a thing that I should care about? Huh, that's interesting. Also, I guess I can just use Worship to... Like, I can't lose? Oh, they have Boomerang, never mind. Yeah, so Worship actually doesn't do anything. Yeah, cool, I'm just gonna submit. Man, this Stasis matchup is super interesting. I kind of love it. This hand looks good, keep it. Opponent keeps 7 as well. Yeah, Portent's very good there. I think I'm gonna Portent off of the City of Brass. The reason is so I can hold up foil. Another Crystalline. I do like having access to a clock. Do I want to draw all 3 of these? I think so. I think all 3 of these are fine. Yeah, I think all 3 of these are fine. So I'm gonna say no, pass the turn back. I'm gonna have taken a lot of damage from the City of Brass, but I don't think it's gonna matter that much. Unless my opponent has an early Black Vice. Here's the island, here's my sliver. Yep, that's fine. Obviously getting 4 spiked sucks, but that seems like a fine turn to get 4 spiked. So I'm not too upset about that. So here I'm just gonna play a land and cast another sliver. And I'm not gonna Portent. Counterspell. Okay. Well, now I am going to Portent. My opponent's super aggressively fighting over my threats. Which is interesting to me because they saw Meddling Mage, which is a much better threat to fight over. Well, definitely shuffling these. Any order, shuffle. Draw quick sliver. Okay, that's pretty good. That is a decent one. Once again, my best draw is Gush. Unsurprisingly. As it is the case with most Gush decks. Interesting. I think I'm just gonna pass the turn here. If my opponent plays something I'm gonna that I want to counterspell, I'm gonna do that. And otherwise I'm just going to play quick sliver on my opponent's hand step. City of Brass doing work for my opponent, huh? I think with my opponent fighting as aggressively as they have over my threats, this is definitely one that they want to answer. Yeah, I'm going to let that go. And now I'm going to draw 2. Draw 2. There we go. Now we are cooking. Just actually going to fetch for a plains here, because I'm going to be casting a bunch of white spells, so just being able to cast them at no life, at no cost of life seems reasonable. We do finally deploy our mighty 1/1. Having drawn Gush, though, is kind of nice because we get to like continue deploying our lands now, which is going to be great for, you know, whenever turn we do have to have a counter war. Also, Quick Sliver is fantastic as a draw there, just allowing me to speed up my clock at instant speed. Counter spell. I think I'm going to fight back because I have Gush to refuel, and Quick Sliver allows me to like play this game in such a flexible way. All right. I have the better counterspell art, so obviously I win the counterspell war. That's how it works. Let's untap another island. Do I want to Gush main phase? Looking for Meddling Mage or something like that. I think this is the Gush turn. Okay, this is fine. I mean, it sucks that I didn't find Meddling Mage or maybe a Muscle Sliver. Obviously, having drawn a Muscle Sliver would have been great there, but it's fine. We do have Disenchant to fight over stuff. We do have another way to deploy another threat at instant speed. Another Gush would be fantastic. Here's a 1/1 on your end step. Actually a 1/3. Look at that. And tap. Play another island. Okay, we do have enough islands now. We can stop drawing them. It's kind of okay that we do get to like hardcast a foil and also just Daze and foil again and Disenchant. So that's cool. Ivory Tower. I think... Do I just hardcast a foil here? I think so. Yeah, I think this is a fine spot to hardcast a foil. My opponent can like play Stasis, but then I can just Daze the Stasis and then untap on Disenchant. So it's not the end of the world. And just using this turn to spend 4 mana seems pretty good. Gush. Yeah, Gush is fine. There's the Stasis, so I'm just gonna foil here. Pitching Island, Island. Whatever they do, I can just Daze, and then I can untap, and I can just force my opponent to pay upkeep, and then Disenchant the Stasis and upkeep. Okay, that resolved. Opponent's gonna discard? It seemed like a good turn for my opponent to just use their cards. A little bit surprised by this. Discard Island. Okay, Sportant myself, see what's up. Yeah, I like these. So let's go top, top, top. No shuffle, swing. That is 3. Now we're going to draw the Muscle Sliver. Then on my next turn, I'm going to draw Meddling Mage. They land the Stasis here. I think I'm just going to say, okay. I'm going to see whether they play another land. Looks like they don't. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to untap. I'm going to cast Meddling Mage. I'm going to name Thwart. And then I'm going to have my opponent pay for upkeep on Stasis, and then I'm going to Disenchant on their upkeep. So if they Chain of Vapor here, I think I just Daze the Chain of Vapor, because they clearly have a Thwart in hand. And now they have to exile a card to the Forsaken City, they need to, you know, pay for Stasis, and then I just get to Disenchant the Stasis. Alright, so you gotta pay for Stasis, they exile Thwart, the Sick Reed, and now I'm just gonna Disenchant. So now if they do have Daze or Foil, which I have not seen yet, by the way. Okay, cool. So that's 2 Stasis down. So I can swing for 8, so there's no reason for me to tap out with the Muscle Sliver. Although, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can put my opponent down to 3. Yeah, I guess I'm tapping out for the Muscle Sliver just so I bring my opponent to a low life total. So now my opponent goes down to 1. It goes down to 3. And I still have a swing for 2 in the following turn. So my opponent's at a virtual 1. And any creature can allow me to kill them, potentially? This is close. This is a super close game. So here comes the Stasis, number 3, I would imagine. Or they Gush. Maybe they just Gush. Play land first, then Gush. That's fine. Okay, so they naturally found Stasis number 3. It's obviously bad for me, but it's okay. I do think I still attack, just to put my opponent to 1. Like, there's nothing under this muscle sliver. Oh, actually? Huh, it could have been interesting to just leave the muscle sliver back to block. Huh, because if I leave the muscle sliver, not back to block, but just like sitting down, because that means that whenever I draw a second muscle sliver, I can actually have 2 lethal attackers, which my opponent needs to answer individually. So maybe that was wrong. Maybe that was a mistake on my part to just swing with the muscle sliver there. So now it's gonna be a race to who draws Gush first, I think. And whoever finds a Gush is probably gonna be the person that wins this game. Finding another meddling mage would be really good for me as well, because that can allow me to just name Chain of Vapor. Any threat is a reasonable thing. Okay, so Mox Diamond, just so I can cast this lethal muscle sliver. Ugh. Oh, that sucks so much! Yeah, I guess I can't cast this muscle sliver anymore, huh? I can't cast this muscle sliver any longer now. That's brutal. Yeah, my opponent finding more Gushes. Okay, so I'm gonna cast this Meddling Mage. My opponent needs to counter this. Arcane Denial. Sure. So let's fetch for an island. And I think I'm gonna cast this muscle sliver on their upkeep. After, I don't know how the triggers, I think that, okay, so the card drawing is going to happen before. So I don't want my opponent to be able to draw into a thwart, so I'm going to do this now. So this is a lethal threat. They could already have a, they can't have a thwart. I have Meddling Mage on thwart. Yeah, that was bad. Should not have done that. We're going to draw 2. Okay. This is the first days that I see the entire match, by the way. Can I find a Gush? Can I find a Gush? No. Okay, so we're gonna play Drogo for a while. I do wonder if my opponent is gonna time out here. Like, that's definitely a concern for them. Them finding 3 Stasis in the top, 20 cards definitely was very good. So now I think I just hold on to this counter spell. Oh my god, that's brutal. That is so good for them. Where are my Gushes? Draw a Gush. No, damn it. The thing is, I'm far from dead here, right? If I find a Gush, all of a sudden I can cast a Crystalline Sliver with Counterspell backup, and Crystalline Sliver does not care about Chain of Vapor, right? So it's not that this game is even close to being locked up here. Also, Day's a fantastic draw. Obviously not as good as Gush, but still a pretty good one. Like, I think this game is still very, very much far from over. Mox Diamond doesn't actually help. So we just keep going, just continue land going for a bit here. Where are my Gushes? I really want to see some Gushes. Island's good. So Island is a way to help me play through some of the soft counter magic. I am kind of surprised that my opponent is not getting rid of some useless cards by paying with Forsaken City every single turn. Like, they could be effectively just having access to a bunch more mana than they currently have, but they're just not doing that for whatever reason. Trevor's Ruins is fantastic here. So, what do I bounce? I think I bounce the City. I can play City to pitch to the Mox Diamond. I think I do that. So play Mox Diamond. We're gonna pitch City. This means that if my opponent does find the Black Vice, I don't take as much damage. Like, I'm taking 2 less damage now. Okay, finally they figured out that it's probably better for them to be like pitching random cards, so they have access to more mana in a single turn. And they Gush. My opponent found all 4 Gushes. Do I want a Crystalline Sliver here? No, I don't think so. There's the Black Vice. So here's the Crystalline Sliver, which is a lethal threat. The Arcane Denial. So I'm going to play another Crystalline Sliver in response, which they Daze. And I will pay when they have another Daze. So I can Daze this just to cost my opponent a card. I think that's worth doing. Just so I can play another land next turn. I can guarantee that I'm going to be playing a land. It also costs my opponent a card, right? Alright, cool. Now I'm going to pay for the second Daze. That gets countered. And I think I draw 2 here, which means I'm going to take 1, but that's acceptable. I can also just play to the clock, but I don't think that makes too much sense. So we take 1. There you go. That's what I've been waiting for all this time. Okay, so now my opponent's gonna start. Oh, I misclicked there. Yeah, I misclicked there. That sucks. So this is actually pretty interesting. So I want to play out this Mox Diamond, but I also want to Gush. So if I bring 2 lands up to hand, I get to play Muscle Sliver. How much damage am I taking from Black Vise? This is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. But then I'm also playing out this, so I think I just Gush here. So here's an island, here's a Mox Diamond, pitching an island, and now I get to cast Muscle Sliver on my opponents after they pay for their Stasis, which means I only take 2. So they pay for Stasis, and we get there. Perfect. So the play here was going to be play Muscle Sliver on their upkeep. Now if they're going to lose to the lethal attacker unless they Chain of Vapor, and I can just daze the Chain of Vapor. So I think that we were actually just winning this game anyway, even though obviously my opponent clocked out, but I think we were still winning this game unless my opponent had... daze doesn't do anything, so they would need to have exactly like foil or something like that, because they cannot cast Thwart because of the melee mage. So what a crazy match. That was awesome. Really enjoyed that. All right, folks, time for the last match. What do we got here? This is a lot of lands. This is a heck of a lot of lands. So we got 4 lands, 1 Source of Plowshares, 1 Crystalline Sliver. Is that good enough? Man, if this were one of the green lands, maybe I would consider this. No cantrips, no Gush. I think am I supposed to keep this? I'm gonna mulligan this. Maybe that's wrong, but I mean this hand seems so much better, right? I think I'm gonna bottom one of these Swords to Plowshares. Obviously it's bad if, you know, my opponent's playing a creature deck, but... So here we're gonna have... I'm probably gonna Portent on turn 1, so it gives me the most information. Like, I guess it doesn't give me the most information. It's better to hold the cantrip, technically. But I'm gonna be using my mana, and I have so many 2-drops in my deck. Okay, so here we're gonna say okay, and I'm going to put the Flooded Strand, then the Island, then the Crystalline Sliver. This means that I'm gonna draw Crystalline Sliver for... Actually, I should have done the other way, so I draw the Island first, and then I draw the Crystalline Sliver. Although there's no way, if my opponent has Cabal Therapy, there's no way they're gonna name Crystalline Sliver, so it's probably just fine. But now I get to play the Sliver. What is this? Chromatic Sphere. So some form of red deck, I assume. Some bigger red deck, or maybe Artifact Welder or something like that. Windswept Heath. Okay. Muscle Sliver. So I'm gonna play the Wing Sliver first, in case my opponent has a way to, you know, instant speed threat of some kind. Muscle Sliver obviously not a great draw at this point in the game, but we're also holding up Source of Plowshares in case we need it, but... Gonna be holding on to this island for foil purposes and for Mox Diamond purposes. No land drop, huh? Well, that's a Mox Diamond. Well, this speeds up my clock in a pretty significant way. So this means I'm gonna be swinging for 5 this turn, down to 13. Then I'm gonna be swinging for 7 next turn. So this is just a 3-turn clock. So if my opponent has Pyroclasm or anything like that, obviously that's gonna be very bad for me, but if they don't, we're going to have them dead in 2 turns. And they're missing land drops, but not cracking the Chromatic Sphere. Wow. So they were missing land drops, not cracking Chromatic Sphere. Maybe I'm playing against some sort of domain deck? I'm going to assume that I'm playing against a domain deck. So I think I may want Ray of Revelation, Armageddon, and Winter Orb. I don't know if melee mage is where I want to be in this kind of matchup. I am going to cut the Swords to Plowshares, I think. And this is going to give me room for double Armageddon, Winter Orb, and then maybe a Null and Hydroblast. I think so. Maybe Disenchant is better than a Null. I guess I want to have access to at least one Disenchant because my opponent could be playing Humility, but I'm mostly afraid of Pernicious Deed. So because of that, I think I prefer a Null to more Disenchants. Obviously, this is just pure speculation, right? Like, I literally have no idea what my opponent's playing. I did see Basic Mountain, I guess, so maybe I hold on to the Hydroblast just in case. This weird. This is weird to want to like sideboard against a deck like this, where I just have no information, and they're definitely playing some sort of rogue deck. So that definitely makes sideboarding very, very tough. I think I'm gonna cut a plated sliver. All right, island, daze, foil. I think I'm keeping this on the strength of Gush. So if I find an island, then cool. If I don't find an island, then less cool, but still probably okay. Second wing sliver, not great. Second wing sliver is not great. Would want a land drop over basically anything else. Island, Windswept Heath. Yeah, at this point I'm fairly sure that my opponent's playing some sort of domain style deck. Great. Alright, pass the turn. I'm probably going to discard one of these. I guess I'm just going to discard a plated sliver. Would love to find like a portent or something. My opponent not wanting to play anything into my daze. Too smart. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. So I'm going to discard... I guess I'm going to discard the counterspell here. Opponent doing some fetching. Collective Restraint. Okay, so now we know for a fact that my opponent's playing some sort of... still playing some sort of domain deck. That's good. That actually allowed me to use one of my dazes, so I don't have to go to discard this turn. So I'm assuming some form of domain control, meaning this Armageddon's probably going to do some pretty serious work. Portent, I'll take it. I'll take a portent. Yes, this is good. Okay, so I'm going to keep all of these. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to go top the City of Brass. Actually... well, I can't undo. Never mind. Okay, so I definitely want to draw the island so I can foil if I want to. Although I guess I can foil anyway thanks to daze. But this means I'm gonna be shuffling away the City of Brass, which I'm not super excited to do. I may still win this game actually because of Armageddon plus foil. Wandering Stream resolves. Yeah, it really sucks that I didn't let me undo because I really wanted to draw the City of Brass. But as is, what are you gonna do? Here's a crystalline sliver. And if they try to counter this, I'm just gonna daze. Evasive action. So now I can daze that, and now I'm on the board. Maybe my opponent's just not splashing. They're just not splashing Pernicious Deed. Maybe. Man, if I had drawn that City of Brass, would be in much better shape. Would be able to just like flash in the quick sliver, do some stuff and some things. And instead I'm kind of stuck. And once again hoping that I find a land. Although I guess I can, thanks to Gush, I can still cast this Armageddon on curve. On curve meaning 2 turns from now. And we're going to be able to protect it with foil, which is nice. Do I want to deploy the second wing sliver? Does it shorten the clock? It shortens the clock if my opponent draws a fetch land. Yeah, I'm probably going to play it. Just so I don't have to discard with Gush on my Gush turn. Although I'm probably going to be foiling back, so it doesn't really change anything. If they Wrath, though... oh, that's a pretty good one. So now we can do... I guess I still rather just Gush first, right? So we're gonna Gush first. Oh, they counter this? Oh, that's so good for me. So this is just a mana leak? Yeah, just let this resolve. Now I'm gonna pay. And now we're gonna play a land. I think I'm gonna play Trevis Ruins here. Float a mana. This means I'm never gonna cast this quick sliver, but that's fine. Here's an Armageddon. Even if they have another evasive action, I just foil it. Wow. Am I gonna just steal this game? Looks like I'm gonna be stealing. Some stealing is being done. Alright, we stole that one. We missed land drop for like 3 or 4 turns, but Armageddon is a hell of a card. They really don't make them like they used to, do they? There you go, 4-1, not bad. For this new take on counter slivers. I was pretty impressed by the archetype. Like, I feel like it has some good stuff going for it, which is very interesting, which is obviously Crystalline Sliver. Like, if this card did not exist, the archetype would be just straight up unplayable. But Crystalline Sliver just kind of attacks the whole concept of the creature decks in such a dramatically different way, because all of a sudden your opponent's Source Obligers are straight up dead. They're just not cards. And then like this applies to every single one of your creatures. So the fact that they scale so effectively and so quickly, it really gives a different feel to something like Gro-a-Tog, right? Like the whole concept of Gro-a-Tog is you play a threat and then that threat starts to go tall, but your opponent has, you know, like a Swords to Plowshares, and then you're back to square one, right? Like you don't have a threat, there's nothing going on for you. And sure, you're cantripping, you are countering whatever your opponent does, but eventually they're just gonna find more stuff than you have counter spells, right? Like that's just the nature of how it works out. So this deck having that axis of here's a Crystalline Sliver, if you don't, like, you just can't kill it. So it just makes so many of their cards just dead. And when you combo that with the Medley Mages from the side, like that really does a number on your opponent's capabilities. Just like straight up the amount of cards that they have that do anything at all. So it was pretty cool. I was impressed by Quicksliver specifically. Like this card feels like it did an incredible job in the Stasis matchup, for example. So against blue decks, Quicksliver really proved its worth. I feel like what is really stopping this deck from just being a very real contender, I don't know if tier 1 is what we can really hope for, but like a very solid tier 1.5/tier 2 deck is the fact that we only have a single muscle sliver. I feel like if we had access to any other one sliver that could buff power, we would be in much better shape. And sure, you can have something like shared. There's an enchantment that is like 1 and a white, and you choose a creature type, and then it buffs all creatures of that type. You could do Shared Triumph. That's the name of the card. You could do that, but that doesn't attack and block, right? Like so, every card that you have in your deck that does not attack and block really costs this deck a lot. So a couple of things are, I definitely want to have one more green source in my deck. I think I should probably be playing City of Brass number 4. That would probably be over the basic island. This still leaves me with, I think, 9 basic islands and like 4 flooded strands. That's 13 lands for Gush. It's not great, but it is what it is. But like I was stuck with Quick and Muscle Slivers in my hand a little bit way too often. And Muscle Sliver is such an important part of this deck strategy that I feel like I want to make sure that I can just cast this a little bit more reliably. Speaking of casting stuff more reliably, I think I want more cantrips. So we have 4 portents in this list. But I think that we can potentially cut one Swords to Plowshares, move it to the sideboard, and then like cut something else. I'm clear on what that something else is. Maybe it is a creature, maybe it is something else. But I do think that I want to have access to at least a couple more like cantrips, beat Opt or like Sleight of Hand or something like that. I'm leaning towards Opt, but yeah, I do feel like that part was a little bit shaky. Like I do think that when I drew Portent, all of a sudden my draws were significantly better. And also the more cantrips that you have, the more that these haymakers like Worship and Armageddon can really run away by the game, by themselves, because of the fact that you just save your counter magic for the few cards that actually interact with this, right? Like if you're playing against goblins and you go turn 1 Sliver and turn 4 Worship, then you're gonna be in a situation where there's only 4 cards that matter in your opponent's entire deck, which are like the 4 naturalizers. If they brought Tranquil Domain, which they're probably, if you pull this off on game 2, they're probably going to do that game 3, then you know that things get a little bit trickier, but still, I mean, you're going to be beating them out in the air with Wing Sliver and Crystalline Sliver, so they don't have infinite time to find, as many counters as they can. And cantrips make that sort of game plan a lot better. Yeah, this deck was a lot of fun. I had a really good time playing this deck. Winter Orb and Armageddon were the MVPs in this league, so that seemed like a very powerful angle of attack that a lot of my opponents were just not ready for. But I think that this deck can go multiple different ways, and again, like the one thing that I'm really scared of is Elves, which is obviously one of the decks taking the format right now, but it's not as popular as you would expect it because it's crazy expensive. In MTGO, it's actually quite popular because it's really cheap to build. Survivals are literally just cents, and the same thing with Gaia's Cradle, maybe like 8 tickets or something like that. So because of that, Elves is actually a very reasonable deck to play online, but in paper, you don't see that much Elves for that reason. But this deck definitely felt like it had legs, which I was very impressed by. Like this was very much like something that I thought of because I got my hands on 4 copies of Crystalline Sliver. So like that was the only thing. Like I went to a local game store and I found like the 2 copies of Crystalline Sliver that I was missing at a great price, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get them and I'm gonna have a playset of Crystalline Slivers. How can I put a Slivers deck together? And this is what my first draft looked like. So yeah, I'm excited to like move and work with this deck a little bit more. But that's gonna be it for this league. Hopefully you enjoyed it, folks. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on the way out. And dude, Premodern, so good. Hopefully you like it. See you in the next video. Bye bye.